I'm going to talk today about what I do, who am I, and why I'm here, and what you should do. That's basically my talk. I have a PowerPoint presentation that was not prepared for a Jewish audience. It was prepared for someone else. I hope that it will not do any problems. But for now, I just want to show you what am I doing in pictures, because for me, I was not ready to talk about Jerusalem. I was thinking of something else. But today I found myself again speaking about Jerusalem, which I hate so much. Excuse me. I can't stand Jerusalem. I think it's a city that causes so much problems that we don't need. We can save. Anyway, my relationship to Jerusalem is not, it's not just a place, it's not just a city, it's the fact that Jerusalem municipality actually confiscated parts of our village and annexed it to Israel back in '67. So before going to the details, I will give you some. Anybody here has a problem with English? Because I started without asking. No? Okay. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Walaje. This picture, can we turn off the light? Oh, let's turn off. What you will see is a picture of my village, Walaje. And Walaje, as you can see, is a microcosm of Palestine. And when I say it's a microcosm of Palestine, I mean that what applies in Walaje applies on all Palestine and the details are different. Back in 1948, we were forced out of the Walaje village, the original one, which is, those who are aware of Jerusalem, today is Moshav Aminadav and Kennedy Park. Both of them, and much more. That goes, I don't know how is it called, but I think it's Old National Park now. And this used to be originally Walaje. We were the entire village was forced out end of October in '48, and we scattered all around the world as refugees. The community of Walaje today is an individual return. People returned to Walaje individually. It was not an organized return. It was people who had left whatever left of the land. Whoever had a piece of land came back, but there was no houses at the time. So people lived in caves and temporary mudrooms, because at the time nobody believed that it's gone for good. Everybody thought that there will be a solution, there will be a resolution, and they will go back and resume their lives as they knew it. Nobody had the idea that this is it. We should move on now. Israel is here to stay. It was far-fetched to believe that we lost it completely and that's it. So people came back in anticipation of return. They lived in caves. My family lived in a cave for 12 years. Wow. We were moved out of the cave because my older sister arrived to school age. And my mom, because we lived in a cave down the valley, it was very difficult for a 6-year-old girl to climb the mountain and walk for another 4 or 5 kilometers to get to the closest school to that cave. So my mom was pushing my family to go out of the cave, but everybody else thought she's crazy, because we have to work on going back to our lives, to our land, to what we have lost. And my mom was like, okay, if we're going back, let's go back educated. I mean, why should we lose school for that? My father and my grandfather, my grandmother did not really digest this idea, and for that she had to leave my father and take whoever was born from my sisters and brothers and actually go to Jerusalem with her parents. For him to bring her back, he had to rent a house next to a school, and he did. And that's how we moved out of a cave. Now, other families have different reasons. My aunt moved out of the cave with her family in '74. So she lived like more than 20 years, almost 20 years in a cave, in anticipation of return. It wasn't just because they didn't want to move on. It was so hard to believe that this is it. You move on now. That's it. No more of whatever of your thinking, whatever you have lost. Khalas, leave it and move on. And it took them a while. I think the war of '67 was the trigger of people moving on with their lives. That's when everybody believed, oh, we're not going back, I guess. And if we are, it's not going to be soon. So then when people moved on with their lives. Walajeh, we were 18,000 dunums. This is the original part of Walajeh, what we see here, and this side is the new one. We lost 18,000 dunums we were 18,000 dunums, we lost 11 in 48. In 1967, when the Israeli military occupation came in, we were a part of the village was annexed together with East Jerusalem to Israel. Now what happened in that village is not just annexing, it was a bigger problem because annexing means when the occupation came in, they did the census and they gave people identity cards. And the identity cards have different colors according to geographic areas. So West Bank got orange, and Gaza got red, and Jerusalem got blue. Now we should have got blue because it was annexed to Jerusalem, but we didn't, we got orange. Now this created a legal status for us that we are illegally living in Israel. When we later realized that this is a problem, we don't know what does it mean. We didn't know what it means. We had no idea why do we have different colors of identity cards, and it wasn't really the priority of people to think, what does it mean? I remember when I was a child that the only difference between my identity card and Gaza was that Gazans were not allowed to travel outside the country at any day. It was, I think, Mondays and Wednesdays. They were restricted in travel to outside the country. And then later on restricted completely moving, but earlier than anybody else. Gaza started in 91, for those who doesn't know. But for us, we didn't even know the difference. We got to know the difference only in 94. When Oslo Agreement came into the picture, and now they're dividing the land into A, B, and C, and we found ourselves out of the alphabet completely. We're Jerusalem. We're not even in the negotiation. And that's how we actually, that was a rumor all our lives. That we are part of Israel, we're not part of Israel, this is that. But we filed a case in the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court decided that we have to prove that we were living in this place before the annexing. Now this is nearly impossible. How can you prove that you were living in a cave? You don't have electricity bill, definitely. More than that, you don't have water, and definitely you don't have a phone bill. So what? What proof could you use to prove to the Supreme Court that you were living there? So it's a little bit of a problem. The only people that can actually prove that they were there, those who didn't have caves in their land and had to build a mudroom. This is a structure that actually shows in an image, in an aerial image. Anyway, this is a detail in the book. What you see here is again the Walajeh from like the new Walajeh. This is the new Walajeh now. This is the root of the wall. What you see here. This is the oldest olive tree. I always show it in my presentations. We have the oldest olive tree in the region. It's 5,000 years old. It's not mine. It's the Japanese team and Italian team who decided that Italian decided 3,000 and the Japanese decided 5,000 years. I tend to believe the Japanese. And I think that it's 5,000 years old. I don't even know, and I really don't care. But it's a big tree, and most of the time we can turn it into like a tourist, I don't know, whatever. This is the plan of the wall. The red line that you see here, this is Walajeh. And this is the plan of the wall. That's how we're going to look like. And here, supposedly, they should install a gate. This is the plan for our village. Now, this is the last, but not the least, of the problems that we face in the village. We have two settlements, Gilo and Har Gilo. Two settlements and the wall and the bypass road close to the village, another 4,200 dunums. All in all, from 48 up until today, we are left within the wall with 2,800 dunums. That's what's left for the whole Walajeh. That's why I say Walajeh is a microcosm of Palestine, because of what's happened all through history with this little small village. Now, what will happen next to Walajeh? I just want to show you a couple of pictures. This is the bypass road, what you see, and this is the green line. The green line divides the village into two. The green line is actually in the valley of the village. So if they want to build a wall for security, they could have moved just a little bit, like 2 kilometers down the valley, and they will build a wall there that nobody would ask them, why are you building it? And to be honest, I might give them a hand. I mean, I wouldn't care if they build it down the valley. I wouldn't even spend 1 minute. I wouldn't come here. Or I will come here for different reasons. But I wouldn't invest any time fighting that wall if they build it on the green line. As horrible as it is, as ugly as it is, as giving no solutions of whatsoever, I won't mind. This is a man that moved back into the cave because they are confiscating 200 dunams from his own private land in our village. Now he moved back 3-4 years to his cave. He left like 20 years ago because he's losing his land. These are statistics that you can find about Walaje and more information, details at UNRWA website for those who are interested in more details. This is the route of the wall. 1,800 trees were uprooted for the wall. And like strange enough, ministry, or not a ministry, it's an authority of antiquities. All around the world, they work with toothpick. In our village, they work with huge bulldozers because they're not allowed to pave the road. This is the work of the Ministry of Antiquities, not the wall. They're sort of working in front of the wall authority, whatever, security committee, because they're allowed to do the job. And the committee was not allowed to do the work for a long time. Now they did. 3 weeks ago they got, or 4 weeks ago, they got a permission to work again. I'm just going to show you a couple of pictures of the wall. This is already the finished part that is done in the village. The houses that you see, this is Hargilo. This is a settlement. This is the main road of the village that goes in the city, the village center, that the school kids take every morning to go to school. Still, parts of it is not finished. This part, if you look carefully, here, this is not already. The wall is still open. This exit takes you to the Knesset in 40 minutes. It was open all the time, still open until today, and it was open before the creation of Israel. You can walk from our village, get to the Knesset in 40 minutes, walking distance. So there is no security of whatsoever building the wall, because if there was a security threat, it should have taken place by now. No? I mean, if someone decides to do something, you should have done it by now. The only thing that it means for the fact that the wall is there and still open, Jerusalem is accessible for anybody. Anybody can go through that place. Nobody would stop them, and nobody definitely will ask them where you're going. So you can go through this exit to arrive to Malha or to Givat Ram. I don't even know what's the name of the neighborhood there, but that's where the Binyanei Oma is. It's 40 minutes walk. It's still open up until now. You can try it yourself if you want. This is an open invitation to anybody to come and visit my village. These are Palestinian houses. That's another security threat that we have to talk about. See how close the house is to the wall. I can jump it with my back shape if I plan it well. This is ridiculous. To have a wall that you can anybody can jump if they want to do something, and if someone is going to die, I doubt that the wall will stop them. This is another problem that Israel is using another tool, which is demolishing houses. We don't have a master plan. We don't have a zoning plan. So we have no way to apply for a building permit. But we grew naturally. I mean, this is not something that we control. And we're very good at that. So we build houses, whether we like it or not. And these houses are, according to Israel, it's illegal. And they demolish houses. We have 92 houses with demolishing orders in the village. And some of them were executed. There's about 27 houses already demolished. We are altogether 2,300 people. I'm not talking about huge number of people. 2,300 people living in this small village. 27 houses already demolished. and 92 with demolishing orders, including the school of the village, one of the mosques, and the only public building, which is the community center, or a local council building that's used as a community center. That's what we do, or part of what we do. One thing that we do is popular resistance. I am one of the leaders of the popular resistance in the village. Popular resistance is the equivalent of the term non-violent resistance. We don't call it non-violent because it's a debate. If we call it non-violent and we try to promote it as non-violent, we undermine our right for a violent resistance. And we have the right. According to international law, occupied nations have the right to violently fight against the occupation. Now, whether we use that right or not, that's another debate. As for me, even if I want to, I can't. I don't have the skills. I can hardly run for 5 minutes. Definitely not me. So I have to do what I know. So this is what we do, or at least this is one form of what we do. Demonstrations, non-violent demonstrations, is part of our resistance. Now, it's only the thing that we do for publicity. The real work is something else. The legal case. We have been in the court since 71. The year 71. We were at the Supreme Court because the Israeli, whatever, I think it was the Jewish agency, I'm not sure of the institution that confiscated the land for Gilo, the settlement. 2 years later, they confiscated another land for Har Gilo. A couple of years later, they confiscated more land for the bypass road, and finally the wall. And this is the case of 12 people appealing against confiscation of their land for the wall again. So this is the last case that actually 17th of June is the last day of this case. One of them is the legal case. The legal case costs a lot of money. It's something that we've been doing even before the popular resistance term came into the picture, before inventing this kind of term. Almost every single individual in our village is involved in a different case, be it the confiscation or demolishing or the wall or whatever reason. So the legal case is one of our tools. Creating a space for children. Our children will go nuts if we don't take care of them. They will go crazy. And I don't know what will they turn to. Now, I don't care what the Israelis are thinking, and I don't care what they're doing, and I don't care what their plans are for the future. This is what I care about. And this is what I do. So creating a space for children is another form of popular resistance, and we're doing it. We're trying to do it. All the activities I plan, I try, because I'm the worst fundraiser ever, to do all the activities without money. So everything I try to do, it doesn't cost much. And it mostly doesn't cost. As you can tell, this is a playground. That's a land belonging to the church, and it's left behind the wall. Sort of the only public land left in the village. That's what we're doing with it. What you see behind you is the wall. Women. What will happen after the wall is closed? Usually, if we have a gate, and on that gate there is a soldier standing, this soldier might be the nicest person on earth. He doesn't have to be a mean soldier. He doesn't have to be a Zionist or like I don't know what, or like a very radical, like I don't know, hate Palestinians. He can be the nicest person on earth. He will sleep in one day, or he will have a fight with his girlfriend, or he will have a flu, or he will have whatever. We cannot rely on him opening and closing the gate, and in advance we know that there are a couple of days, that this gate will be closed anyway, like all Jewish holidays. I'm sure you know that all Jewish holidays is a complete closure in Palestinians. Complete closures mean that this gate will not be allowed to be open even if the soldier wants to open it. He wouldn't be able because he's not allowed. So this means that all the people, imagine that yourself that someone living in such a wall with a gate and is a bank employee. If you're a bank employee and you miss 2 days of your work, then you're gone with the wind. can't continue. If you are a Palestinian Authority employee, it happened before, and it will happen again, you will be asked to sleep in the office. In 2002, 2003, and 2004, the Palestinian Authority threatened all the workers who could not reach their offices. If they miss another working day because of political situation, they will be fired, and for that, they are allowed to sleep in the offices. And all of them did, because they want to keep their job. And that's what will happen here. All the working people would sleep wherever they work, and this means that our community will be left with women, younger children, and older people. That's why we work in women. We want them to understand what does it mean and what will happen to them later, because what will happen is that they will lead the community, whether they like it or not. They will be the leaders of their families, which means they will be the leaders of the community. They will have double responsibilities, if not triple, and they will not get the credit because we are a patriarchal society. Women works, but no thank you. So this is what's going to happen again. So in this time, we're ready. We're trying to prepare them to try to come out of something good out of this disaster. I don't know how to put it. This is my father. That's where I get the inspiration from. My father lost everything in his life. Everything. He was 13 in 48. His father was one of the biggest owners in the village, and he was all bragging about it. I think that's why he lost it. Because all the time he was like, I have the most of the land, I have most of the land. So now he has nothing. Absolutely nothing. Even the house that we have in the village, we might lose for the wall. We're still in court for that. Yet, he never changed. I don't know why. I can't tell you why. I have no answer for that. But he worked so hard as a worker. His father took him out of school because he wanted to work to go back. I think my grandfather was crazy, but never mind. He left school. He never went back to school, and still, we are all educated. We have a doctor and a lawyer, and I think 6 teachers in the family. Oh yeah, we're 15. So if I continue counting of what do we do, I think we can be a mini government. Everything. We cover all professions. And he's behind it. That's why we are all educated. I think my mom affected him so much eventually. She died. And now he's memorizing her by educating us. I don't know. This is original Walaji. I took him in a tour to original Walaji where he was born. This is another woman from my village. Now this woman, her house was demolished 3 times. She witnessed her children being dragged out of the house with whatever belonging they could save, and she had to take care of them. And if you ask her, the most important thing that she cares about is their mental health. She does everything possible for her kids to continue a normal life. She's living in her house with a 4th demolishing order. Yet she's still alive. Her kids go to school. Her husband works. She attends all occasions. If you meet her in the road, you can ever tell that she's indifferent of any other woman. For me, she's a hero. She's a great inspiration source, at least for me, because I have no idea how can she maintain her mental health, to be honest. And she never bragged about it. And she takes care of her sick mother as well. Her mother 3 years ago got a stroke. She's still alive, completely paralyzed. So she takes care of a mother and 3 children and a husband, and a house being demolished every other day. This is something that I don't know if any other woman can handle, to be honest. This man, he used to be a very bad boy when he was younger. It will be an accusation if I talked to him when I was younger. No girl was allowed to touch that area because he was really bad boy. Now this man got married, settled down, and now he has 3 children and live in a house that will be unfortunately outside of the wall. Now what happened? The Israelis, and this is for you to decide. This family, as you can tell, these 2 children, his wife and another child, will cost Israel 3 million shekels because it's outside of the wall. Just this family. And they've done nothing so far. They had any kind of involvement with whatever action you might have. You name it. They had nothing. The kids attend school. The wife is like classical. The husband was a bad boy and now he's settled. He works really hard to get his family survival. And now they're outside of the wall. They will have a private wall of their own. Electric fence, 4 meters high, 10 meters away from the house, and 4 revolving gates with a tower to watch who's going in and out. And now they decided to change. They changed their mind, and they will dig a tunnel for the family. A tunnel under the ground. That is silly. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, you can laugh because it's ridiculous to think about. I mean, the psychos that sitting around the table deciding such decisions and spending all this money on nothing, because this will stop nothing. This will stop nothing. What does it mean? What do we fight over? We, Palestinians and Israelis. What is our conflict is all about? It's about existence. And we exist. And look how big we are. We exist. I'm sorry, it's not, we're not going to vanish. Our fight is about existence. Where do we exist is geography. It doesn't matter. Even if Israel today decides that today we want to finish this story and kill all Palestinians, that will not end the conflict, because there's another 8 million Palestinians outside the country waiting for any single action of that sort to act. Now, what does that mean? We, the Palestinians, and most of the Arabs got to believe that Israel is here to stay. It's only the Israelis who didn't believe that yet. This is reality. We know that Israel is here to stay. I don't think that this is a fact that anybody argues. Nobody in the Palestinian society argues about this fact anymore. It's Israel who argues about this fact all the time. And they generate hatred around them all the time, with all actions, with the best that they can do. Everything they do. A wall, a settlement, I don't know what, all the racist laws that you know of. Now, what is really happening now? Israel is superior in military action. But nobody is actually going into a war with Israel. Who's going into a war with Israel? Not me. I'm dragging them to another war field, another battlefield, that they have no idea how it works. I'm dragging them to my field, which I'm an experience in it. I have full experience in there. That's called popular resistance. Their superiority in military, whatever, they can save for another day. It doesn't work with me. It doesn't mean anything to me. It's neutralized. Now, what does that mean in the long run? Also, Palestinians are slowly. We're not really good at this, but we are getting as good. We're forced to get good. Israel is forcing us to come up with other alternatives. Like, we run out of alternatives, Israel does something, and we think. They're forcing us to think. We don't want to, but they're forcing us. And we do it. We have 3 major fields now that Palestinians are getting ready and actually getting together and doing it. The BDS campaign, boycott, divest, and sanctions. Every campaign they've done so far is successful. The popular resistance, which is getting together, building whatever. I don't know if what will happen to us in the coming few years, but I think it's going to be national. Now it's localized. I'm assuming that in a couple of years we will be national movement. I'm not waiting for that day, by the way. And the international law and international instruments that we are learning how to use now. There are many cases filed in the ICC, ICJ, and other instruments that I don't know if you are aware of, but all the mechanisms of the international law are being used by Palestinian groups inside and outside. Now we're getting organized, trying to get organized, inspired by the Jewish experience. And this is something I say all the time. If Israel did not cause so much damage, the Jewish experience is something worth celebrating. It is. It's one of the most beautiful experiences ever. You know what? If it stopped on 48, it didn't continue, it would have been something to celebrate as well. But now, with all these damages, this beautiful experience, it's just causing more and more damage for Jews, not for Palestinians. I don't care. I'm doing what I'm doing. I think this is giving me a reason to live my life differently than others. I don't think of it as, I'm not a normal victim. And so as Siham and so as Omar. We're not normal victims. We're not normal heroes. We're different people. We're just different. You see these people? They're just different. We are not the normal victims or the normal heroes. You don't know what you are up against. That's the most dangerous part. All these things that's happening on your behalf, that's something that you should stop. Not for me. Not because of Palestinians. I don't want you to do anything for me. I know what to do for myself. I'm much more than capable. I want you to do for you, for a better Israel. If you want Israel to continue, if you want to plan something for Israel for the future, this is your job. And again, don't think about me when you do it. Think about what you want to see about Israel in 20 years from today. What is happening right now, that Israel is receiving the ultimate support of the West, what will happen if the West stops giving this support? What will happen if America tomorrow have a natural disaster and they can't support you as they do? I'm not saying that they will fall down or collapse, which will they do one day, because empires all through history did. And America will not be of any difference. Now nothing will happen to them, because what will happen to them is exactly what happened to Britain and France. They will come back to be another powerful, rich country that has limited influence internationally. Now what will happen to Israel? Living in the Middle East, generating so much hatred around it, and propaganda that they've been using, that everybody hates us around us. Now, nobody was thinking, really, if they hate you or not. But now, they might, with all the changes in the Arab world, they might try to test it. I don't know. I don't really know what it means. I have 1 more minute left. And again, my closing statement will be, for you, for the Israelis, try to think of something that works for a better Israel. We believe that Israel is there to stay. It's about your turn to believe that Israel is there to stay and work for it. Thank you.